Okay, you are welcome back to the Benin Empire Advancement League, the home of all the Benins worldwide. Today is our Vice President with me, Mr. Joe Maui Osamundiame Orukbe. You are highly welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters all around the world, descendants of the great Benin Empire. It's a wonderful day, and it's good having to be here today to discuss very important issues that has to do with our people. Mr. President, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. I'm all right. I'm doing great. And you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm all right, sir.
Okay. Because today is a public holiday here, so everyone
Oh,
is happy when there's a
oh,
public holiday.
that's great. Happy holidays.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, today we are going to be talking about our tradition and talking about politics, things that has really matter to our people, and the things that are really affecting our people that are going to be affecting our people in the future, not just the present time now. Um, First, we want to say something about the press conference from Governor Obaseki, His Excellency, uh, the state governor of Edo State, about the letter or the statement about the Benin Traditional Council. What do you think about it, sir?
Uh, Mr. President, it's just as clear as it is. I have read comments by activists from Edo State, Benin activists, Benin cultural activists. Some of them are genuine. Some of them, always hide behind cultural activism to push their partisan political agendas. Sometimes I just look at these personalities. I see through some of the things they do, and for me, it just clearly tells us that not everybody who says Benin actually has the interest of the Benin people at heart.
Mhm.
Having said that, I have read the press statement by the governor, and I find it so amusing that people would want to go to town spinning a press statement that is just as clear as the blue skies. You know, first and foremost, the governor says he's going to be giving money to traditional councils, traditional leaders. You know, in the various domains in Edo State. First, we know that these traditional chiefs and leaders are starved of finances.
Exactly.
And we also know that it's been a burden on the palace, the Oba of Benin. We've known that the Oba of Benin carries so much financial burden. We also know that some of these traditional leaders find it very uncomfortable to actually rely on the palace, you know, for the financing of activities in their domain. So if the governor, in his wisdom, decides to, remit monies to these traditional, rulers in their domain, in one way or the other, I do not think people should see it as a confrontation or a disrespect to the Oba of Benin. That's one. Now, if you look at the content of that letter again, the governor tried to state it empirically clear that the Oba of Benin remains the permanent leader of the Benin Traditional Council. What more do people want? He stated it clear.
Exactly.
See, one of the problems I think our people has is their inability to be sincere, to be truthful, to be able to look at things critically the way it ought to be looked at. First and foremost, the Constitution, and I have said this several times, the problem is not the governor, the problem is the Constitution. That's just the thing. You can't have two captains in a ship. It's never going to happen. And the Constitution makes the governor the chief executive of the state. The Constitution makes the governor a mini emperor. That is what it is. Everything that has to do with Edo State, the governor is held responsible, not the Oba of Benin. And
Okay.
so if we think that in our wisdom, the Oba of Benin should be accorded some certain privileges, where we should talk to our senators and members of House of Rep that represent our states and Delta states to go to the National Assembly and try to tweak the laws. But if we have not done that, then it is childish for us to come and say that the governor is confronting the palace. The governor is not confronting the palace. The letter has been released and it has been stated categorically clear the responsibility of every individual. Now, I heard people say you mentioned certain traditional areas, certain traditional areas. Are we saying that those traditional areas do not exist? If those traditional areas exist, why should it be a problem if he mentions those traditional areas? It's a simple thing. There is nothing that the governor does that the Oba is not aware of. And I think people should understand this. Independent thinking Benin should begin to understand that there is nothing the governor does in Edo State that the Oba of Benin is not aware of. There is nothing. You know, there are those who try to create a problem between the governor and the Oba of Benin. And this problem is just a figment of their own imagination. It does not exist. The last time our father went to Rivers State to pay Wike a visit after the elections, we could hear him clearly say that Wike should also thank the governor of Edo State, who kept on calling him, to know if he has arrived safely and if he needed anything. Clearly, you could see that there is a synergy between the Oba and the governor. I think the Oba of Benin knows the limitation of the Benin Traditional Council because, one, he's been a diplomat, so he's got experience. And he knows that the Benin Traditional Council is limited. The Benin Traditional Council does not have political power. We need to understand these things. The Benin Traditional Council does not have the economic power. I think we need to understand these things. The Benin Traditional Council does not have the constitutional responsibility to secure the lives and properties of the people in Edo State. The Benin Traditional Council does not have the responsibility to budget the expenses and the expenditures or how the Edo State is going to expend its resources. The Benin Traditional Council does not have that power. It does not have that power because the constitution we operate did not give it that power. And I think that's where these mischievous folks, try to swindle people, because our people do not have an education of how constitutional authorities work. The Oba of Benin remains our cultural and spiritual leader. The governor remains our political and socio-economic leader. The governor has 8 years to spend. The Oba of Benin is eternal. The governor cannot contest the authority of the Oba of Benin. And the Oba of Benin cannot contest the authority of the governor, because he doesn't have the constitutional power to do that. And unless we amend the constitution that puts chieftaincy titles under the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, we would always have this problem. I have said it several times. Because it's even an insult to have chieftaincy affairs under the Ministry of Local Government. It's an insult to our traditional rulers in the first instance. So we are not even fighting the right fight. If we feel that we have to fight, what we should fight is the Constitution.
Exactly.
If we think we have scores to settle, we need to settle this scores with our political representatives in Abuja, not the governor. Because if the Constitution is amended today and gives the Benin Traditional Council some sort of authority, the governor is not going to say, they can't wield that authority because it now becomes a constitutional matter. And our people, you see, we expend so much time on things that are not necessary. We have very much more important things to talk about. And I've always said these things. We have issues to talk about, issues of development, issues of socioeconomic empowerment of the people, issues of education, infrastructure.
Exactly.
We are lagging behind. And instead of people to talk about these things, they are big. You see, our priorities are not right as a people. And that's where the problem is. I have seen people try to rubbish today. If it's not the museum, it's the artifacts. Now, if it's not the artifacts, it is one thing or the other. We need to cut the governor and cut him some slacks, for Christ's sake. Those who understand governance, who understands the economic implications of having a governor who is stingy, because one of the greatest problems Obaseki has is his stinginess. And that is why people say he's a betrayer. It runs in his DNA. He betrayed Oshiomhole. For Christ's sake, it is not Oshiomhole that made him governor.
Exactly.
If Oshiomhole picked him by arm twisting other people, he still presented him to the people of the Edo State to vote. And they voted him. So he derives his authority from the people, not his political party. And I think people need to have some sort of political education, because we are now beginning to sound so collectively dumb.
Yes.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
It is the people who voted the governor. His allegiance is to the people, not some political godfathers or a political party. The membership of the PDP in Edo State, it's not up to 200,000. If you add the APC and the Labour Party and the rest of them, it's not up to 300,000 or 500,000, if we may say. And this man has clearly tried his best. Now, his best is not enough for me, but his best is better than what we have been seeing in the past. That's the reality. Because he inherited a state that was highly indebted. He inherited a state that the minimum wage was poor. How many states in Nigeria today pay 40,000 naira? Akwa Ibom does not pay 40,000 naira.
No.
Akwa Ibom earns much more than what Edo State earns. So you have a state where we've got to pay our debts, we've got to service our debts, we've got to pay civil servants, we've got to pay public servants, we've got to spend some money for security, then we've got to spend money on youth empowerment, we've got to spend money on infrastructure, we've got to spend money on education, we've got to spend money on healthcare, we've got to spend money on power, electricity. Where do BENINS think that the governor is going to get all this money from? Are they even looking at how much we earn from federal allocation? Because we hear people compare Edo and Lagos. Edo, see, in the Niger Delta, Edo is one of the least paid states.
Yeah.
It will interest you to know that Bayelsa doesn't have half our population, but Bayelsa gets more allocation than Edo State. But Bayelsa cannot boast of the infrastructural progress that we have witnessed, the progress we've witnessed in terms of infrastructural development in Edo State in the last 6-7 years. That's a fact. And so what we ought to be doing right now is to see how we can bridge the political class and the traditional council. There has to be some sort of synergy. But instead, what our people are doing is they are investing time in trying to create a rift between the governor and the Benin Traditional Council. And you see, why I'm so happy is that we have a monarch who is very rich in wisdom. And if you notice something about the Oba of Benin, he rarely speaks. He rarely comes out to talk like you have other traditional leaders talking in other places, because it's just so unnecessary. And we've had people who seem to have some sort of closeness to some chiefs in the palace come out to speak as if they are speaking on behalf of the king. They're not speaking on behalf of the king. The essence to know who the paramount ruler of Benin, of the Benin Empire is. The Esakos, the Afemais, the Urobos, the Ikas. Everybody knows who the paramount ruler of the Benin Empire is. You see, it's not debatable. So I do not see the reason why people would sit down and choose to take a press statement and twist it and try to paint the governor as a mischievous character. It's just simply because, one, either some of them are supporters of Oshiomhole, either some of them are supporters of Pastor Izeyamu, either some of them are people who have lost out in the PDP, or people who are members of the APC. That is just what it is. And these are the kind, because when I look at some of these people, what I just do is I just profile them. And once I do that, I know where they are coming from. But what I am saying is, for Benins who have the interest, the probe of the states, of our people at heart. If you know you've got the interest of our people at heart, you need to probe everything that is thrown out there by these characters. Because not everything that is thrown out there is actually true. Half truth is actually not truth. And so when they come out and paint this thing and make it look as if it's the truth, you've got to take it through the tests and see if the things, the information that are being put out there are actually what it is. And that's where we're having a problem today. We spend so much time talking about things that are irrelevant.
Exactly.
The press statement is clear. The Oba of Benin remains the paramount ruler of the Benin Kingdom. Clear. And every other traditional ruler is under the paramount ruler of the Benin Kingdom. It's clear. And there is nothing that can be more clear than what has been stated in that press statement. If anybody does not like it, that's his cup of tea. I just think we need to begin to act like responsible Benins and start doing the right things. You know, after that press release by the governor, I think the Benin Traditional Council actually did another press release trying to correct some certain impressions that we are not Benin, we are Benin, and there's nothing like Ibinu, you know. And you see, some of these our people who claim to love the palace, love Benin, as the same people who have propagated these things. And I've always told them that Benin is an ethnic group, and I'm so glad that the council stated it in their press release, that we are an ethnic group. And an ethnic group is made up of several tribes.
Yeah.
And these things are just clear. It's called the Benin Traditional Council for a reason. And the Benin ethnic group is governed by the Benin Traditional Council.
Yeah.
And the Benin Traditional Council is an ethnic group that is governed by the paramount ruler, who is the Oba of Benin. And that is the position of the Edo State government. It's clear. So I think our people need to we need to stop all these childish things that we do on social media and, focus on things that are much more important, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Let me just add a little to what you have said. I am also from a traditional house, and I know the type of job the traditional rulers in Edo State are doing. They are the grassroots people, the grassroots chiefs. the grassroots government who take over the affairs of the palace in their various areas,
Domains.
local government or village or communities. And when I look at what my father is getting from the government, it's like I could just pick it and throw it away and throw it to the government back because this is nothing compared to what my father is doing every day for his community. If it is land dispute, if it is any neighbor dispute or of any nature, any dispute of any nature, before anybody go to the police or go to court, the issue always comes to the table of the community and the community leader, which is my father. So I can understand if any Benin chief want to receive more money, you know, I can understand that. But what we shouldn't tolerate, and I have to state it clear, what we shouldn't tolerate is anybody, be you the governor, be you a Nogie or whosoever it is, we shouldn't tolerate anybody trying to undermine the power of the Oba of Benin
No, it's not
because
possible.
because even the governor have a full respect for the Oba of Benin. No matter where even though it's a military governor, if you come to Benin City, they always visit the Oba of Benin before they could even pick up their office. Everybody should understand that they all recognize that without the help of the Oba of Benin, Edo State will be ungovernable because there are so many issues. If you go to the palace day in and day out, then you will see what exactly is going on in the palace. The palace is 4 times more busier than Edo State government house.
Exactly.
You know, so before anybody said, "Okay, let me go to governor house," they are already in the palace. You see, so I would like to make an appeal to my brothers and sisters from Edo State or to all the Benins. We all are one people. Though we speak different languages, we are from different areas. In some ways, we have different cultures, but we all are one. There's no need of fighting each other. We should fight for the interests of the Benins. This is why this organization is here to promote peace, to promote our culture, tradition, everything that is related to Benin. That's why this organization is here. And those who think the governor is undermining the power of the Oba of Benin, I just have so many things to say to them right now. The next governorship election is coming. You can make it a priority, collecting signatures for the amendment of this constitution or whatsoever it is, to amend it so that our paramount leader will be having more power. We can do that, but we have not been able to do that. We have not been able to come together to do such. And these are things that are important because in the first place, in the first event, till this period now, I think it's almost 3 or 4 months. We have enough time to do so many things, to go to our representatives from the government, to talk to them, but we haven't done that. But when it comes to ranting in television or social media, we all have the time to be doing that. But when the issue of collecting signature or talking to our governor or talking to other people, but we always fail to do that. As you all know, I'm not a politician. I'm not also interested in politics. For me, I'm from traditional house and I support the tradition of Edo State. And anybody that is doing things that is positive to Edo State is my friend. Anybody that is doing anything negative against Edo State or the Benin's entire is not a friend of mine. So thank you, sir. That is just my words or what I would like to say to my people, because It's very, very easy to cause commotion in a state rather than to provide solution to the problems we're having in the state. So I'm calling on all Benins to come together. Whether you live in Edo State or you are not living in Edo State, you may be the solution of our problem. Please, I want to encourage our youth also to be participating in politics. It doesn't mean if you are from a traditional house or something like that, because we need more people, we need more awareness about our state. That's why it's open for everybody to contest as a governor, to contest as a local government chairman, as a councillor, or any other position. Because we need people, we need our youth to pick up all these positions. So thank you very much, sir. And
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
yeah, we also talk a little bit about the issue between the governor and his deputy, uh, Mr. Shaibu, and our able governor, Governor Obaseki. There's a lot going on social media about what is really going on between both of them. It's like both of them lost the trust on each other. And for my own opinion, I would like to say this. When a cobra and a python is fighting, you hardly know the outcome of the result, because both snakes are very, very dangerous. I'm not trying to say that the governor and his deputy are snakes. No, I just want to give an example. You know, the python has a very, very strong muscles, that can squeeze the cobra. And at the same time, the cobra has a very, very, very dangerous gift, not gift, poison that can kill the python in a matter of minutes. So everybody has to be very, very careful what we are doing. What I'm trying to say, that both of them should be called to order, because the election is not far away now, and we can already see the courtesan in Edo State has picking up in a way that day in and day out, there are dead bodies in some areas in Edo State. What I'm trying to say now, we shouldn't allow these two people to use our people for their own interest. If you want to contest as a governor, come out clearly to contest as a governor. You doesn't even need any party. You can be an independent candidate. And if the governor is trying to position anybody, he should do that clearly. He should come out and do that clearly. Because all this hidden fight is not bringing in any way to the progress of the city, of the state. You know? Because this energy they are spending on press conference, addressing chiefs and all that, would have been used for other purposes for the Edo state. That is just my advice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm just going to add this so that we could round up in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so straight away, first and foremost, I think people need to understand that there is nothing wrong in a governor wanting to, have his own succession plan in place. There is nothing wrong in a governor having someone he thinks is suitable for the job. He's the governor. He knows. He knows how to go about things. He knows who he thinks is capable, to run the affairs of the state based on his own conviction.
Yeah.
What I do not understand is why the people of Edo State think that anybody that the governor, endorses is going to win the party ticket. There's a party, and they're going to go through primaries. So if you don't want that person, and you are a political party card-carrying member, you go and talk to your delegates to vote for the next person. It's as simple as that. Why are we creating unnecessary tensions? That is one. Secondly, I do not think Philip Shuaibu has the moral authority to talk on this issue. Because in the history of Edo State, of state governance, how do I put it now? If you look at the last 8 years, there is no deputy governor in Nigeria that has exhibited the kind of authority that Philip Shuaibu has exhibited as a deputy governor. I can say it categorically based on my knowledge. Edo State is the only state where the governor goes out and transmits power to his deputy. Based on what I know. Anytime Obaseki goes out, he transmits power to Shuaibu. And I've had the issue of Shuaibu wanting to barge into the governor's residence. You are a deputy governor, you do not have the... I think we need to clear these things. It is not the state's house, it's not the residence that was provided for the governor by the state. It's his personal property. What are you going to... You don't go to visit someone unannounced. You see, all this gangsterism, and I would say it clearly, this gangsterism that Philip Shuaibu is known for is going to be what would pitch him against the people.
Exactly.
And I'm going to say it because, you see, there's one problem we have in Benin. We don't always want to say things the way it is. If the deputy governor knows that he wants to succeed the governor, he should go about it in the right manner.
Exactly.
You don't go around and try to prove that you are one Voltron or Van Damme and create unnecessary tension in the state and hit the heads of brothers and sisters together just because you want to become a governor. The kinds of traits that Philip Shuaibu has exhibited so far in the last few weeks clearly makes someone like me uncomfortable. It means I can't even trust him with power. It means he is not a sincere person. It means he does not have the ability to be sincere. His integrity level has plummeted, as far as I'm concerned. Because I saw the press statements or some sort of interview from one of these media outlets when he was trying to state his own side of the story. And in this whole nonsense thing he said, because everything he said is nonsense, and he refers to the governor as an elder brother. So you've got a quarrel with an elder brother. The first thing you have to do is run to a court in Abuja. That's the most silliest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You call a governor your brother, and you've got an issue with your brother. And the first thing you think you should do as a wise person who wants to become a governor of a state is to run to a court in Abuja to seek for protection. Now the question is, protection from what?
And from who?
From who? If you say you want to be, there's a plot to impeach you and your hands are clean, where are you running from? Because the impeachment, and I think Edo State, indigenous of Edo State must understand this clearly. Nobody can wake up and impeach a governor. Nobody can wake up and impeach a deputy governor.
Oh.
There are processes, there are legal processes. It is stated in the Constitution. But because these politicians and their activists know that an average Edo person is not politically educated, exactly. So they just throw sawdust on the people's eyes. The House of Assembly, the Edo State House of Assembly cannot just wake up and decide to impeach Philip Shuaibu. It can't happen. You would have to first raise a panel. You would have to first invite him. You would have to get the chief judge of Edo State involved. There's a whole process. And you have to give him fair hearing. And there are offenses that are impeachable offenses. There are offenses that are not impeachable offenses. You can't decide to impeach a governor a deputy governor because he says he does not like the face of the governor. That's not an impeachable offense.
No.
You can't choose to impeach a deputy governor because he was absent from one or two executive council meetings. That's not an impeachable offense. But you see, because our people do not even understand how politics works, they don't understand how the law works. So people just come out there and say things. The governor is witch hunting Shaibu, and everybody says the governor is witch hunting Shaibu. Or people say Shaibu is trying to twist the governor, and everybody runs with it. Shaibu is trying to twist the governor. And so there's all sort of nonsense flying around. The time we are supposed to talk about developmental issues, we are busy talking about personalities. That is how low the politics of Edo State has so become, because we have irresponsible people running around with all sorts of stupid stories.
Yes.
And to the governor, I have had people say the governor wants to endorse an Esa man. I'm an Esa man, and I have said it. If you bring an Esa man whose head is not correct, I am not going to vote for a man because he's Esa. And I think people need to understand these things. If I see an Eka man come out tomorrow, or an Urobo come out tomorrow, has better qualities than an Esa man, I will vote for that person. Because when I go to the market, the tomato seller is not going to ask me if I'm from Esa, or I'm from Edo, or I'm Eka, or Urobo, before they sell their produce to me. The same fee I pay in my transport is the same thing an Edo man, an Eka man, and Urobo man will pay if we bought the same bus. So all this stupid tribalistic nonsense that we are throwing out there, we need to stop it, because it makes us retrogress as a people. And I have seen all sort of people from Edo South go online saying stupid things about Philip Shuaibu. You people are making allegations you don't even have evidence. You're making allegations. You're creating tension. When you do these things, then you have Philip Shuaibu's people come out with their own and do their own thing. Then you have everybody doing back and forth, and we're going to spend a whole 1 year doing this back and forth. Then our roads are in a deplorable state. We are lacking in infrastructural development. Exactly. Our schools are lacking in equipment. Our teachers are underpaid. Public servants are underpaid. So we leave all these important things that we ought to have a dialogue to see how we can solve them. We leave those important things, and we are talking about these people. Does that make us look like wise people? It definitely doesn't. And so I think we should allow the governor, endorse who he wants to endorse. The governor just has one vote when it comes to the primaries. If Philip Shuaibu wants to become a governor, he has every constitutional right to become a governor.
Yeah.
And I think Edo State people should understand that we don't do rotational governorship. There's nothing like rotational governorship in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It does not exist. So if Philip believes an Esako man should contest again, so be it. If you people don't like him, don't vote for him.
Exactly.
If the whole Edo State believes that it's a time for an Edo Central person, go outside and vote for the Edo Central person. If you think you don't like an Edo Central person and you want an Edo South to retain the governorship, vote for an Edo South person. It is not, nobody is compelling anybody to vote for anybody. It is your choice. Everybody has got one vote. I don't vote. But if I was going to vote, I'm not going to vote more than once. Obaseki is not going to vote more than once. Philip Shuaibu is not going to vote more than once. If the Oba of Benin is going to step out to vote, he's not going to vote more than once. So everybody has got, and you see the good thing about this whole partisan democracy is that whether you are a king, whether you are a beggar on the streets, whether you are the governor, when it comes to the ballot box, you have equal opportunities.
Exactly.
The governor is going to vote once, you are going to vote once. The governor is going to vote for his candidate. You are going to vote for your candidate. Nobody is compelling you to vote for the governor's candidate. So if the governor endorses somebody tomorrow and eventually wins the ticket for the PDP, you have options. You have APC, you have Accord, you have Labour Party, you have APN. There are so many, NNPP. Go and vote for them. We shouldn't spend time that we ought to use to discuss developmental issues. We shouldn't spend it discussing this is not how Lagos State was built. This is not how Europe was built. With all this nonsense, political gymnastics we are doing. We should invest our time in how we're going to build our roads. How are we going to make sure that our education, our schools are going to deliver quality education to our kids? That's what's more important. How are we going to curb the issue of cultism and the unnecessary loss of lives? These are things we ought to. We are not even having these conversations on social media, Mr. President. That's what is appalling. We don't have the energy. We don't get to hear people's voices when we ought to be talking about things that are very serious, more important to our people. We don't see them. But when it has to do with APC, PDP, Obaseki, the Palace, Shuaibu, this, that, and now today again, DVD has added its own. And everybody is just talking,
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, so you people really exist. So you guys you've got the voice, you've got the data, the internet data and the time to actually make comments or run commentaries on social media. But when there are things that are bedeviling the state, you all disappear. That's irresponsibility. It clearly shows that we do not have the interest of Edo State in our hearts. And it's disappointing. But I just think we should start do things right and approach issues with wisdom, sensible people, and stop embarrassing our ancestors. Because we are becoming a national embarrassment. And I saw the Oshiomhole addressing the press, saying that APC is not a place for displaced politicians. It's not a rehabilitation center for a displaced politician. And I'm seeing my people run with this narrative. But did they forget that it was the same Oshiomhole that told us that anybody who comes into the APC, his sins are forgiven?
Yeah.
when he wanted to accommodate Pastor Ize Inyamu, after going around maligning Ize Inyamu, calling him a thief, and using all sort of unprintable names against the man, all of a sudden he falls out with Obaseki and recruits Pastor Ize Inyamu for his own political agenda. Now he tells all of us that the APC is not. I mean, is it that we are dumb? Because sometimes we need to sit down and ask ourselves questions. Is it that we are so dumb that we cannot read between the lines? 4 years ago, if you become a member of the APC, your sins are forgiven. And just 3 years after 4 years ago, the APC all of a sudden is not a rehabilitation center for displaced politicians. You could clearly see that the man speaks from both sides of his mouth.
Yes.
And that's not even somebody we should take serious, because he's been so influential in the APC, running from one television station to the other, defending the APC in the past 3 years. But the federal roads in Edo State that links from Edo State to the southeast is in a deplorable condition. And we had Oshiomhole there. If there is anybody that Edo should not take serious, it is Adams Oshiomhole. And I'm saying this today, if there is anybody we should not take serious when it comes to the political affairs of Edo State, it is Adams Aliyu Oshiomhole. because he's the greatest disappointment Edo State has ever produced.
Yes.
When we had Mr. Fixit, the late Pa Aneni, I have always said it and I've always told my Esan people that Pa Aneni brought nothing good to Edo State. And if I had maintained that position, knowing fully well that he's an Esan man just like me, I do not see the reason why I would not today come out to say that Adams Ali Oshiomhole is a disappointment to Edo State.
Yes.
Because you see, when you have connection, when you have network and you have power, you must use it for the good of your people. And if you have power and you have connection and your people are suffering, then you are the most useless human being on planet Earth, no matter how powerful you are. Because the essence of power is to make life better for humanity. And I can say it without blinking an eye, that Adams Oshiomhole has brought no good for the people of Edo State. At least in the last 4 years that he has been, because he was once the national chairman of the APC.
Yeah.
He was displaced, but he still had some sort of influence. And you could see in the equation, he has totally lost out in the politics of the APC.
Yeah.
He's reduced. I do not think there is any politician today that should be more influential than Adams Ali Oshiomhole based on his past precedents. When the Tinubu's and the rest of them ran away from Nigeria, it was Adams Ali Oshiomhole that led us in the streets.
Yes.
Right here in Yaba, where we used to have the Nigeria Labour Congress House, against Abacha. Several protests against Abacha. It was Adams Ali Oshiomhole. There is no politician today that has a bragging rights when it comes to democracy than Ali Oshiomhole. But look at how the man has reduced himself to. Look at what he has reduced himself to. He's reduced himself to an ass kisser. Basically, that's what it is. And we have psychopaths who are going around hailing him instead of them to tell him the truth. That he's a disappointment. He should be in the national arena, shoulder to shoulder with Tinubu.
Yeah.
Today.
And his name should have been in one of these minister lists, but we haven't all.
At least a minister.
Yeah. But there's nothing.
Because if we are even talking of anybody who should come out today and boast of the credentials to be a president of this country, is Adams Ali Oshiomhole. But you see, he's so short-sighted. He's so carried away by little things that he's not even seeing the bigger picture. And you have people who don't even know politics mount social media platforms and say all sorts of things. He's the political powerhouse. He's not the political powerhouse of Edo State. People should read the signs in the wall.
We all are the political powerhouse of Edo State.
Power belongs to the people. When the people said they didn't want a godfather, even with the video that Tinubu released to address the Edo people, we still made sure we voted massively. 15 local governments out of 18. Obaseki won. And we sent a clear message out there. Leave your shenanigans in Lagos. Don't bring it to Edo State. And if Adams Oshiomhole is a wise politician, he should have understood that the people were pissed at him. And he should have retraced his steps. You think I will not be proud of an Adams Oshiomhole? I will be proud of an Adams Oshiomhole. If Adams Oshiomhole does the right thing, I will be one of those that will go out there and defend him. But I'm not going to defend a man who is not interested in the progress of his people, who only thinks about self. I'm not going to defend that kind of man. Because most of the people who are talking today, they never knew Adams Oshiomhole 20 years ago. I knew Adams Oshiomhole since when I was 16 years old. Leading student activism in Lagos. as a member of the Joint Action Committee under the late Chief Gani Fayemi at 16 years old. I was leading high school students when we fought against Abacha. So I have an understanding of who the person we call Adams Oshiomhole used to be.
Yeah.
And he's totally different from the Adams Oshiomhole that we know today. And it breaks my heart that such a man, such a promising man, who we all should look up to, has turned himself to a political houseboy for politicians who were not in the country when he was fighting the military junta headed by the late Sani Abacha. Most of these people today talking Adams Oshiomhole, they never knew him.
No.
These are just newbies. It is politics that made most of you know Adams Oshiomhole. We knew him in the trenches.
Yeah.
We knew him in the days of Yaba. We knew him in the days of Igboshere. We knew him in the days of running from one place to the other. Even in the days of Obasanjo,
Yeah.
when he was dragged in the tarmac and everything, before we could mobilize to the airport, he was whisked away by the DSS. We knew him in all those days. So when we see a different Adams Oshiomhole today, then it means there's something wrong.
Yes.
And our people should stop this psychophancy. We need to tell ourselves the truth, because if Adams Oshiomhole succeeds at the national level, if Adams Oshiomhole is a pro-Benin at the national level, it is the Benin people that would enjoy.
Yes.
It is the Benin people. The seaport Obaseki is establishing today, it's not Obaseki's seaport.
No.
It is for the people of Benin. Obaseki is going to go in the next 1 year. And so we need another person who is going to continue with the programs. We need a steady hand. And you see, and that's what I've always told our people, we need a steady hand. Because there is this stupid practice in our political space since 1999. When a politician gets into office, he carries out a policy, he leaves office, another politician takes over, throws away the policies of his predecessor, and creates his own policies. Just look around the whole country. Unfinished projects everywhere. Why? Because you have governors who succeed another governor and fail and says, no, I don't like his policy. There is no continuity. So we create so much financial loss for the states. And Edo State needs to learn from that. And that's why I've always said it, that we need to be interested in who succeeds Obaseki. Because who succeeds Obaseki must be able to create economic policies that would sustain the states, because he's going to have to be paying 40,000 naira as minimum wage. He's going to have to continue the Edo Best program. So he's going to need to get money to sustain that program. He's going to make sure that the policies of his government must be built around the seaports, how you could create jobs and open up the economy for investments. We need to understand that this is the reason why who succeeds Obaseki is very important.
Exactly.
He's going to make sure that the policies, the cultural policies of attracting tourists to the museum is sustained. And you know the funniest thing? When people were shouting about this museum thing and artifacts, I was looking at it from a different angle. All the whole brouhaha has become a blessing. Now we have 2 museums. We have the West African Museum, and we have the Benin Traditional Council Museum. So any which way, Edo State is going to benefit. So it's a win-win situation. And so we need a governor who is going to come and sustain these policies. And that is where we're getting all these things wrong, because we are not looking at things the way we ought to look at these things. You are busy fighting. You're fighting for men who don't even know you exist. Well, Mr. President, I think we'll leave the rest for some
Yeah,
other time.
yeah. Thank you very much, sir. And I quite enjoy what you have said so far. And I want to plead with Edo youth, still pleading with Edo youth. Please get involved in politics. Get involved in good politics, because this is what really can bring Edo State forward. And Edo State should be working on a constitution that will prevent any new government from abandoning the ongoing projects. If it is international airport, if it is road project, there should be a law that prevents any incoming government to abandon those projects, because that is the only way we can go. Without that, we are going to be starting from zero. Every 4 years, every 8 years, we are going to be starting from zero. And that is very, very bad. So thank you very much, sir. And
Thank
I
you very
want
much
to
for your time.
want to thank our viewer and our supporters and the members of this organization who has been doing a very great job. I want to say thank you very much, and God bless you all. May
God
the
bless you,
God
sir.
of our ancestors be with you all, and also be with me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's,
Thank you.
bye bye.
Have a wonderful week.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye bye, sir.